Okay guys, welcome back to the Frugal Homestead, and today we're doing another in our series of budget lithium iron phosphate batteries to check out for solar. Now we are planning for our tiny house, getting ready to build our system, so we're testing out various different lithium iron phosphate budget batteries to see which route we want to go. Now our simple test bench we've set up here is very basic. We have a 180 watt solar panel outside, not real high quality, but this is a use what you got kind of test bench just to see how these batteries work. Inside we have the Rich Solar 40 amp charge controller. We got a Xantrex Pro Watt inverter over here that functions amazing. And today we're going to be looking at the Goldenmate 100 amp hour 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery. Now this is the meat and potatoes version. There's no LCD screen. There's no Bluetooth. It is literally just the battery and the BMS. This is what you call a true budget battery. And if you don't believe me, I have seen this battery as cheap as $186. I will put a link down in the description and a code where you can get 15% off should you be interested in this battery. But I want to get into just some of the basic specs. I'm not about tearing it down. There's plenty of videos out there showing these being tore down. I want to just cover the basics with you and show you the best use case for this battery. So right off the bat, I want to say that I have not found any cons with this battery. There's plenty of pros, but I have not found any true cons except one, and it's just my personal thing. Their idea to try and make these caps to where the battery can't get shorted out when something drops on it is a really cool idea, except for their implementation of it just falls short, because you take them off to tighten the bolts down, then you go to put the caps back down, and you have to have a certain kind of ringlet to allow for these. So while I think it's a great idea in concept, in practice, in using it, I think it's kind of poor design. There could have been a way to tighten it underneath with a wrench and the cap just sat on top to protect it, or some other kind of implementation. For me, it's not a big deal, but for other people, it may be a bigger deal, especially if you're trying to do something with some thick bus bars that are recessed. Now, that is a small complaint to have, honestly, when you're talking about batteries. Now, I do have to say this has a 100 amp hour BMS in it. I have not been able to mark down exactly what brand it is, and it does use the cylindrical cells. Now, for some people, they don't like the cylindrical cells. Personally, I think the way they're building the packs, and from what I've seen, everything looks good, everything looks well made. I don't find a problem with it at all, and I do think it's a way to kind of cut some costs. I know that a lot of, marine style and automotive batteries are looking at you to using these, and I think that there's nothing wrong with using them in this application. Now, it does have cold temperature protection that actually works the way it should. So this would be excellent for mobile applications, for maybe boats, outdoors, if you're going to keep them outdoors. This would just protect itself. This BMS actually kicks off when it's supposed to. Now, we don't have that problem here in the tiny house. The batteries are going to be inside a bench right here at the entry, so they're not going to have to worry about that. But it is an amazing feature to have, especially when we start talking about our friends that do things like van life or campers or RV replacement or truck cap beds. Places you need power, but it's going to sit out in the elements. If it's going to be outside inside of a van and maybe you're at a friend's house and it gets below zero overnight, and the next morning you don't want your battery charging when it's cold like that and getting damaged. So I think that having true protection that works, which we know many batteries say they have it, but you can go see 100 different videos where people test it and it works every time and it's instant. Now, with that said, one of the things that I really like about this battery is the fact that they have a 5-year warranty and free return shipping. Now, we talked about price earlier, but they have on their website and on their Amazon store where you can buy 2 or more of these at an even more discounted price. And the reason why they want to do that is because you can put up to 4 of these in parallel or series, which is going to make for a beautiful battery bank. It really is. It's going to do all the things you need. Now, the fact that the BMS allows this is good because some of our cheap batteries don't allow for this. So it's a basic function you would think, but you'd be surprised how many super cheap batteries in this category can't do that. Now, I want to start talking about use case because I think that a lot of people don't realize how much power is stored in these guys. Now, I don't always have great sunlight down here at Tiny House. My panel is not at the optimal angle. This is a test bench setup. So we're just trying to put it in and see what results we can get by evenly matching all the batteries. Now, for this little meat and potatoes guy, it just loves to charge. It drinks up the power. I come down here about 11 o'clock every day to either work on the tiny house, work outside the tiny house, or do filming, which I do a lot of times in the kitchen here at Tiny House. And it gets hot outside. We're pushing like 95 degrees as I'm filming this. And I like to use this to run the air conditioner down here. It's a 5,000 watt. It is mechanical, so you can't really like walk away from it because it doesn't actually like shut off when it hits a certain temperature. It just kind of kicks the fan and keeps the fan running. So it is very power hungry for what it is. If I had one that actually turned on and off and had a full-on energy saver mode, I could get a lot longer out of this. But generally every day I get 3 to 4 hours without any problem and have the ability that there's still enough sun on most days to charge it all the way back up. So I'm running this air conditioner for 3 to 4 hours straight on low and able to go ahead, come down here, have a place to come inside and cool off, or be able to cool it off enough in here to film these videos, and then be able to shut her down, go back up to the house, let it charge the rest of the night, some of the next morning, and do it all again the next day. Not having to run my electric bill up, running that air conditioner midday, it probably would pay off this battery very, very quickly this summer. And I think that that's something you guys each need to hold into your head as what you're going to do with it. Now, we did do some welding with this battery, okay? And the inverter didn't like it. The battery had no problem, but the inverter didn't like it too much. But we had it cranked all the way up. Now, a MIG welder doesn't seem like it'll have that much pull, but when you crank those Lincoln ones all the way up, they have a lot of pull. I mean, they are pulling massive amounts of power. Now, we didn't bother to check and see exactly how much it was truly pulling, but the inverter popped one time and said nope, and then we ended up having to reset it, and then the rest of the time we used it, we didn't have a problem. So not exactly sure why the inverter was being a butthole that day, but generally speaking, this little stupid system will run pretty much anything 110 that you need to run. I've had it outside running the saw when I've been cutting trim. I've had it in here running the refrigerator at night when I wanted to keep drinks cold, when we were having some friends over. It's just worked perfectly and flawlessly. Now, if you're the type like me that loves to analyze things and check on things and watch it all the time, a Bluetooth model might be a better choice for your batteries. But if you're really looking to hit the rock solid budget on a solid battery just to do the everyday things you wanted to do, whether it's off grid, whether it's batteries for your van, maybe you live in a camper on a piece of property off grid, and you're looking for a good budget battery that you can put in for say 200 or less per battery and stack them up, say 4 deep, so that you can run a refrigerator and air conditioner at your house, this would be an excellent budget option. I feel like everybody associates budget with junk. And I think that this is a case where that is not true at all. I feel like this is a technology with the cylindrical cells, which is going to take off a lot more as time goes on. I think you're going to find that a lot of batteries go to this kind of development in chemistry and how everything's wired. Now, build upon that, you need to understand they have all different sizes. They have the 200 amp hour battery. They have all kinds of different ones. So whatever your need is, I would encourage you to go check out the links below to go check them out and see maybe you can get a better deal on a different size or a different voltage, or even maybe some of their new Orion batteries. Check those out. Now, are we considering using this battery for our tiny home? And the honest truth is, if I could find them priced lower, I probably would go ahead and yank them up and use these, at least for now. I do have other systems I need to build in the future, and that's kind of right now what I'm leaning at with this, because I feel like if I had 4 of these, I could probably build a firewood kiln that runs off electric. And that would be absolutely amazing not to have my wood burner kiln dry my wood anymore. So something I'm considering. This is a serviceable battery, but note, if you pop these out, you just voided your warranty. So something to think about. Now, with that said, I think that we've gone over all the basics you need to know. But what I want to say is, don't run out and buy the cheapest battery you see. All right, there is so much good content from so many good creators on YouTube. Some of them tear the batteries apart. Some of them do load tests. Some of them will do time tests. I do plan on doing a time test on this to where we actually run this battery all the way down, running the air conditioner so you guys can see. We'll use a kilowatt meter to really gauge what it's doing. But for now, I think that it's proven itself to me enough that I can bring it to you and share it with you guys. So if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have, go down, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you can see all of our upcoming videos. And we will be back with more videos showing you other batteries and how they perform and comparing them all up. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.